Thank you for joining us here down the road. A lot of things going on today. We're going to get a chance to talk about the Minnesota Twins. Is their season over? We'll ask you. A lot of people already think it is. We're going to get a chance to visit with, Sarah Addy Coleman about tourism and Fargo Park District and some of what's going on in the beautiful outdoors, which, when you live in North Dakota and you can finally enjoy the outdoors, it's something we should all celebrate. But we've had Ernest Scheyder on. Here's the deal. I'm only going to call him that once. He's not Ernest, he's Ernie. He's part of our team, and he's from Reuters. He's a Reuters news correspondent, but he knows North Dakota. He spent a couple of years up in the Williston Basin, and he knows the energy industry. And I want to visit with him a little bit. Ernie, good to have you coming down the road with us.
It's good to be back with you, Joel.
So the obvious question is, what the heck happened down south? When you've got people filling garbage bags with gasoline, it makes you wonder if we aren't back during the Carter years. What the heck happened here, Ernie?
I got to start right at the top, Joel, and say no one should ever put gasoline in any plastic bag. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster. So let's set that as a ground base right there. So what actually happened was the Colonial pipeline, which transports gasoline and basically fuel products from the Houston area up through Georgia to Tennessee, up through North Carolina, up to the nation's capital, that was shut down. There was a ransomware attack, which basically means a group of cyber bullies, if you will, basically shut down remotely the pipeline using software. And the company that owns the pipeline decided to eventually pay a ransom to get access to its facilities again. And they paid with Bitcoin. That's a whole other topic we can talk about maybe another day. But that shut down a huge supply of gasoline to much of the South and Eastern United States. Prices rose, especially in that region. There are still ripple effects today, even dealing with putting that pipeline back online. And I think it exposed the 10,000 foot view readout here really is that it's exposed the vulnerability of the nation's fuel distribution network and basically caused a lot of folks to take another look at the prowess, the power that some of these cyber bullies have.
I'm sitting here as somebody who's advocated many times for pipelines because I believe it's the safest, quickest, and best way to transport petroleum products. I worked in the water industry where I managed 2,800 miles of water line, so I know how pipelines can work. Is this a sign, before we get into the whole cyberbullying, is this a sign that we shouldn't put all our eggs in the basket of pipelines?
Well, I think that's a question based on region. I think that's a question based on company and product. Certainly North Dakota, I remember when I moved there in 2014, there were trucks all over the place delivering crude. You remember it, and there's still obviously trucks there. But it wasn't until DAPL and others opened that we got to see some reduction in the number of trucks in North Dakota. I think for certain products, pipelines make sense. When you're shipping gasoline from refineries in Houston all the way to a gas station in, say, Washington, D.C., it doesn't really necessarily make sense to truck the high amount of gasoline or the volume there. Just think about the amount of trucks you put on the highway. So in that situation, a pipeline makes a lot of sense. It all depends really on the product and on the distance you're going.
So that decision was made in this particular case. Colonial Pipeline got hacked, and basically they lost the ability to move the product. You said that they paid ransom here, and they paid it in Bitcoin. Walk me through that. Walk me through why anyone would pay ransom.
Well, the main reason I suspect here, and I don't know definitively, but I suspect it's because the integrity of the pipeline itself starts to break down if you don't have product in it over a period of time. The pipeline needs to be wet, just to, for lack of a more technical term, you need to have product flowing through it, and that helps maintain the integrity of the pipe. And if there's nothing in there, then that actually is bad for the integrity of the pipeline. So parts of it could break down, parts of it could need to be repaired. So then you're looking at even more cost. So there was a sense of urgency in the timing here that I suspect drove the decision on the part of the leaders of Colonial Pipeline.
So what's the chance of catching them? Is that the reason for the Bitcoin? Does that help and aid in how you can?
Well, Bitcoin's not traceable. Bitcoin is not traceable, so they could do anything with the hackers could do anything with this money, and no one would know necessarily where they are. I know there's some suspicions they were Eastern European, perhaps in Russia, but Bitcoin is completely untraceable. So that's unfortunately part of the appeal.
So, Ernie, if this is the case, what's to stop this from happening again and again and again?
That's the million-dollar question, Joel. I know that it's something that the White House and other U.S. officials in Washington have been discussing. That's a very, very good question that unfortunately I don't have an answer to. But I think increasingly we're going to start to see cybersecurity become an even more important focus for companies across the United States. We've seen it certainly in IP and intellectual protection of intellectual property. And I think we're going to start to see it more and more in defenses against this kind of ransomware. You just can't load a Norton antivirus CD onto your hard drive and then protect it. Like, this is some really sophisticated software that's affecting these pipelines, and going to need some sophisticated defenses.
So the public's reaction to it, rushing out, getting gasoline, trying to store and hold gasoline. You gave some great advice at the top of the segment, which is don't put it into plastic bags.
Right.
There was one individual that used the liner of his pickup and just filled up the back of his pickup as though he could, actually do something with it once he got home. But, the public's reaction to it, give me your take on how panicky the public got here.
Well, I think a lot of folks do remember, like you were mentioning, the Carter years when we did have huge gas lines down around the block. And I think that sort of brought back fears to a lot of people. When we saw gas prices go up $7, $8, $9 to a gallon, there's a certain financial component to that as well. So I think there's a certain amount of fear that's baked into that. It reminded me a lot of when I would go cover a hurricane or even live through a hurricane. That's the kind of reaction that we saw in the U.S. South and sort of East Coast around North Carolina and Georgia. But I think it's that fear. People have the fear of the unknown. When are they going to get fuel again? I personally never let my tank go below half. And when I saw that the pipeline was shut down, even though I live in Houston now, not far from refineries, I went and topped off my tank and told everyone I knew to do it. So I think there's a certain amount of fear there of the unknown that drove folks to do that. And when you see folks putting gasoline in plastic bags, I think that's just that fear taken to sort of a horrible extreme.
So what did you see happen in Houston in terms of the price of gas? How much did it go up?
So it did not go up that much in Houston. It went up, I want to say, about 10 or 20 cents, depending on the location. But you got to remember, Houston has a lot of raw feedstock, crude oil, in and around the area, and also a lot of refineries to be able to process that into gasoline. So unless the refineries shut down, like we saw in 2017 with Hurricane Harvey, gasoline prices here tend to not spike too much. The region is spoiled in that regard.
So how does the rest of the country react to that, Ernie? Because we've had rising gas prices here in the upper Midwest. Does this play into those gas prices? Are we going to see higher gas prices because of what happened with Colonial?
Well, the pipeline is open again now, so I don't know if we're going to see a complete knock-on effect nationwide, but different regions, and not to get too technical, but different regions of the country are sort of split into different ways on how fuel is stored and processed. And then you've got state standards. So for instance, in California, prices are much higher because the state has higher fuel standards. So you've got to blend a specific California blend, and that's why prices are that much higher there. So I think it's too soon to say, but given that Colonial is back open again, I don't think we should see a long-term effect here from the ransomware attack.
Well, that's good news. I get to half a tank, and I'm right with you. You can't run a pickup without fuel in it, so I totally get it.
And don't put the gasoline in your truck bed. Definitely, yeah. Whatever you do, Joel.
And I have a liner, so I could make that happen. I want to talk to you about mining copper in the South and why people should care. Walk me through that.
Well, we're talking about gasoline, but obviously the next generation of auto is going to be electric. There's a huge focus from the White House on down, from industry, and from a whole host of investors. And to go electric, you need a lot more copper. There's about twice as much copper in an electric vehicle as there is in a traditional internal combustion engine vehicle. And right now, China is the world's largest consumer of copper and one of the largest producers. So there's rising efforts by some companies to produce more copper in the United States. And there's a lot of copper reserves in Arizona right now, and also a lot of copper mines. It's a historical mining state. It's been there for more than 100 years, the mining industry. But there's a project called the Resolution Copper Project that a company based in the UK and Australia, known as Rio Tinto, wants to build about an hour east of Phoenix. And the project is strongly opposed by Native Americans who say the mine would destroy ground they consider religiously important, as well as environmentalists who say that the mine would gobble up way too much water in a state that is in a drought and has been for about 20 years. So that's sort of one bucket of opposition there. On the flip side, though, is this copper mine, if it came online and got permits from the federal government, would supply a quarter of all the copper the U.S. needs. And that's a lot of copper just from one mine. So you can see a lot of the interesting parts at play here. Right now, President Biden basically has a decision to make whether or not he lets this project move forward. The project would be on U.S. land that would basically be swapped with the company. And right now, Biden has put that land swap on hold. And so it's a very interesting question that I think what a lot of folks need to grapple with a bit more is where do the products come from that build some of the modern amenities of modern life? Copper doesn't disappear. It is mined out of the ground. It is processed. And then it ends up in our Teslas or our other electric vehicles. And right now that fight is playing out in the ground and underground in Superior, Arizona, like I said, about an hour east of Phoenix.
So when you look at that and you see environmentalists now arguing about mining copper when the same environmentalists are telling us that we need to go all electric when it comes to our cars, do they get that you can't have one without the other?
Yes, yes, they do. I think there's a lot of not in my backyard. A lot of folks would say, sure, we need to focus more on recycling, or we need to focus more on partnering with ally nations to produce their copper rather than have it here. I also have been speaking with some environmentalists that are increasingly talking about just getting rid of the personal automobile and saying we as a society should not have cars anymore. I think that's an entirely different discussion, but it is a discussion that's taking place out there. So there are an increasing number of environmentalists that recognize this nuance. As you say, you can't have electric vehicles without copper, but they're pushing a lot more recycling and other products. And they're also saying that this specific project should not move forward at all, given the Native American religious concerns and the water concerns.
Is the land on tribal land? Is it on reservation land?
It is not. It's about 20, 30 miles away from the reservation's borders.
Okay. So we've got a situation where it's not on tribal land, yet the Native Americans oppose it. We've got a situation where those same environmentalists that want me to drive electric don't want copper mined. We've got a situation where those same environmentalists, and I've had this happen on my radio show, when pressed, they don't really understand how wind towers work in relation to copper.
Yeah.
So, Ernie, I don't get it. I don't get how they expect us to do one without the other.
Well, if I would leave one thing with your audience, it's that every form of energy requires some kind of manufacturing or processing here. So there is no completely neutral virgin effect on the earth form of energy out there. So there's always going to be some give and take. A lot of the minerals in electric cars, obviously all of them are mined, and they're not necessarily mined in pretty ways. So that's just keep in mind the supply chain is something that we all should be thinking through.
Ernest Scheyder with Reuters. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming on.
Good to be with you, Joel.
He understands energy and the industry that drives it. When we come back, well, we're going to visit with you a little bit. Let's find out if you think that the Twins season is over. A lot of people think so. We'll visit about it right after this.
Howdy, folks. It's a Colonial Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hey-bussin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Colonial burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention, have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
You know, I had a chance to play a lot of sports in my life. Baseball was definitely one of them. I love baseball. Absolutely love baseball. Baseball and football are my two favorite sports. I'm a Twins fan. A lot of people who listen to me on the radio know that I'm a Yankee fan as well. Go ahead and blame my dad for that. My dad was a huge Yankee fan, and he became a Yankee fan long before there were the Minnesota Twins. So I think that's kind of what started that. But I've been to many a Twins game. I've been in the Twins press box. I know the Twins broadcasters. They're like family. Dave St. Peter is ours, right? I mean, Dave St. Peter grew up in Bismarck, North Dakota, went on to the University of North Dakota, went on to the Twins organization, and now finds himself as president of the Minnesota Twins. And that's a lot to be proud of when it comes to the great state of North Dakota. Now, what I got to ask is something that I didn't expect that I would ask at this point in the season. It's May. It's May. So let's put that in perspective. But the Twins are having a brutal season so far. Absolutely brutal season. When you're putting your utility player, the guy that could be playing first, the guy that could be playing catcher, into pitch, and they've done that twice now in games where they've been blown out, then you know it's a bad sign. Now, there's a lot of ways that they got there. There really is. Most of it in line of pitching. You know, they've started out hot with the bats in most games. Then they kind of fizzle out. I get that. Byron Buxton is on an MVP year once again. Like every other year, Byron Buxton ends up getting hurt and put on the DL. That being said, I think you got to look at the pitching. I was someone that looked at Gibson as one of our best starters that we had last year. Well, he's now a Texas Ranger. Didn't like it. Didn't like it when he left. Because everybody picked on him because he was what? Number 4 starter, sometimes number 5 at best, kind of a 500 pitcher. But you got to understand, this was a young man that was kind of coming into his own and could be dominant in games that he did win. Well, he's dominant down in Texas. If you look at what's happening in Texas, his ERA is 2.32, and he's 3-0 pitching-wise. Now, that's a second guess. That really is. And I do believe the Twins have great management. They have a young team and a team that understands baseball. But everything has started to snowball on them, right? If you're a Twins fan, you've seen them lose almost every extra inning game. I don't think it's everyone. I think they won one or something like that. And they've been in a lot of extra inning games. And they've lost a lot of games that they were ahead going into the 7th and into the 8th. That's relief. That's relief pitching. And so, you know, I would beg this. If you've got a starting pitcher and that starting pitcher is going pretty hot into the 6th inning, why don't they pitch him more? And I know that's a question for Rocco Baldelli, but here's my question. Why not pitch him more? You know, we sit there and we look at a pitching count. It's like once they get to 100 pitches, that's a magic number. And, you know, we've pulled pitchers before they get to through that 5th inning so they can even get the win at times. And they're having a pretty good game, all in the name of a pitch count. I've never been there. I have never been to the point where I just believe that a pitch count should be what dictates how you manage. Now, I realize that the big win that Jack Morris had back in '91, for those of us old enough to remember, Tom Kelly went out to get the ball and he was told, no, you're not getting this ball from me. And he talked him into to letting him pitch it out. You know what happened? We won. That's what happened. The Twins won that game. Now, Jack Morris is going to be a hero in Twins land for a long time for having the courage. And quite frankly, I think Tom Kelly doesn't get the credit that he deserves for telling Jack, okay, I can see it in your eyes. I can see that competitive spirit. I can see that after having this conversation, you're riled up a little bit. Let's go get him. And I think Tom Kelly deserves credit for that. But nobody was looking at his pitch count. I recognize the fact it was the last game of the year. I recognize the fact that you weren't looking for him to pitch a whole lot of other games, but I bet you he could have. I bet you Jack Morris could have pitched on a 4-day rest and said, you know what, I'll go 7 innings. I'll go 8 innings. Because I think it's way overrated, the pitch count. I do. I think that the pitch count and what it's looked at, if you know you've got bad middle relief, which the Minnesota Twins do now, take that starter further into the lineup. You know, and when you have relief pitching like the Twins do now, and when they're getting beat by Romo and other pitchers that they had playing for them last year, I think you have to take a real serious look and say, all right, we didn't make maybe the moves that we should have made in terms of getting that relief pitching, and it's letting us down. So let's ride that horse a little bit longer. Let's cut down on the innings that relief pitching has to offer. It's all second guessing. That's all second guessing. I get it. I'm not in their shoes. I'm not in a position where I would make those decisions. And they're the pros. They're the experts. And I'll trust them. It's been, you know, losing it many times begets losing. And so could they turn this season around? Could they put themselves in a position where, hey, you know, we can get back to 500 and then make a run at this thing? Well, the numbers are tough right now. They're really tough. The Chicago White Sox are the #1 team in the Central, and you know what? The Chicago White Sox handed them their butt a couple times here. So it isn't like you're going to climb over all these teams. But I will add this. While I believe that the management of the Minnesota Twins is good and can take this team to the place where they want to go, I also realize that in tough years like this, it's still a blast going to Target Field. If you get the opportunity, go. And if it hasn't been opened up completely to all the access that you want, you know it's gonna. And so if you get a chance to go to Target Field, go, because they make it fun. And that diamond is fun. When we come back, we're going to get a chance to talk about being in the great outdoors. We're going to visit with Dave Leker from the Fargo Park District right after this.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third
news.
term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks.
You know, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we all know that in North Dakota we get limited time outdoors, unless you like to hunt and to fish and to cross-country ski and to basically still get out and enjoy it. You know, but a lot of times it's cold, right? A lot of times many of you take advantage of the summer more than what you do in the winter. The one thing I know about the Fargo Park District is it's available all year long. And as far as a city the size of Fargo goes, I think a lot of cities that are bigger across the nation would like to have the Fargo Park District. Dave Leker is our guest. He's the Fargo Park District's Executive Director, and I get a chance to visit with him about some new projects. Yeah, Dave, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You know, and I'm bragging up the Fargo Park District mostly because I have so much family that enjoys it. I mean, you get to look at it on a national scale. I mean, how do we match up here?
You know, I think Fargo, we match up very well, and North Dakota in general, just because we are districts instead of departments. I think all across the state, and especially Fargo being the largest city, we've got a lot of great things just because we are a district and we have our own freely elected board commissions, so it's great.
Now, South Fargo, it just keeps growing. I've got a daughter that lives down by Davies High School, and when she built down there, there was nothing south of her. Now, there's a lot south of her. There's more homes, more apartments, more everything. How are you responding to that as a park district?
You know, as developers come in, Joel, we'll work with them, and if it's a large developer, we'll work with them to construct, you know, anywhere from a 6 to 12 acre neighborhood park and try to get that park established where actually the homes are starting to get built, so that, you know, when the homeowners do come in, you've got grass, you've got a playground, you've got trees growing, and we're not playing catch up after the fact. So we try to stay ahead of it. City of Fargo planning works very well with us. They make sure the developers talk to us prior to them approving any developments. So.
Well, you have a long, narrow city, you know, which makes it even harder, I would think, because you've got to be more accommodating to a specific area than what you do to a central area. I mean, it's a long ways from North Fargo to South Fargo now.
Yeah, the good thing about Fargo is, you know, we do have the I-29 corridor that, you know, you can get north-south relatively quick. It almost takes more time going east or west than the collector arterial roads. So I-29 helps tremendously.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Now you've got a new sports complex. Tell people about that.
Well, yeah, we did a study back in 2016 with Greenplay out of Colorado, and you know, we surveyed, you know, 40-some user groups, the general public, and wanted to know what do they feel the park district needs, and especially on indoor facilities. And indoor or outdoor, the number one thing that comes up is trails. You know, so part of this study, indoor trails, was some type of walking facility. Turf was also right up there, number one. Number two, hard surface courts, which is basketball, volleyball, and then ice. You know, so people want to get out, they want to play, they want, as you said, in the wintertime, it's tough to get outside. I mean, a lot of people utilize cross-country, skiing, walking, but we needed an indoor space. If you look at the Rustad Center over in West Fargo, they've done a great job with that. And, you know, we're playing a little bit of catch-up around the state. There's a lot of park districts around the state that do have indoor facilities. So, you know, just taking the lead from that 2016 study, just identified our needs here. And what they identified actually was 2 to 4, you know, full-size indoor soccer. Now, are we ever going to get to 4? Yeah, probably not. I don't think nobody nowhere in the United States has that. But we think we can get to 2 someday, and this project starts off with 1. It also starts off in phase 1 of 4 to 7 basketball courts or volleyball courts, because, you know, anytime you take a basketball court, you can cut that in half and add 2 volleyball courts. Indoor ice and an indoor elevated walking track. And then a big part of this project, right after we did the study, Sanford Power was looking for a new home just because their bubble out by the Shields Arena was just maxed to capacity. And, you know, so they came on board as our initial partner, and we just felt it was a great collaboration effort to share in facilities and, you know, share in, you know, utilities and all the different things that indoor spaces, corridors, parking. And so they came on as our first partner, and so they're going to be great to work with. They have been great. And, you know, then we're also looking at a couple, you know, 1 or 2 meeting rooms in there. We would relocate our park district offices because we actually have a new hire coming up in the next couple weeks, and we're short 1 office space. So we're working to make those arrangements, but we're kind of at capacity downtown in the depot, and so this facility kind of answers a lot of our concerns.
You know, you mentioned trails, you mentioned all the, you know, cross-country, some of those type of things. Do you, and I realize that, but you also mentioned ice. You know, you also mentioned courts. How much partnership do you have, if any, with the school district?
We've got a great partnership with the school district. We share in outdoor facilities, especially parks and outdoor sports fields. You know, we've worked with them to increase the size of gyms just so we can have 2 volleyball courts. We work with them on outdoor softball fields, baseball fields, because the time we're using them, which is typically summer and at nights, is the time they're not using them. So, you know, they're using them for 9 months in the wintertime, we use them for the 3 months in the summertime, and then they use them during the day, we use them at night. So we've got a great collaboration with them. They're not necessarily into ice, but they are into renting ice, which works well for us.
So, you know, what's the timeline on this project going to be? What, you know, you mentioned the partnerships and everything else, but when are people going to be able to utilize it?
Well, our goal is to break ground next spring. And as everybody knows, construction, supplies, everything is, you know, kind of goofy right now. But our goal is to break ground in the spring. It's about a 22 month build. So sometime March 24, would be kind of the opening date of the sports complex.
How are you going to pay for it, Dave?
What we're looking at right now is in 2019, the state legislature passed the ability for park boards to issue GO bonds, general obligation bonds, with a vote of the 5-member board. So what we've identified is we've always wanted this to be a 50-50 partnership, public-private. So our board back in February, we had a retreat. We've had several commission meetings. And right now they've agreed to fund 50% of this project, or $38.5 million. We've raised another $20.5 million. So right now we've got about $16-17 million left to raise. And then we'd have the whole project funded. So what we would do is we started the period for putting those bonds out, which is a 60-day protest period. We're about halfway through that. So come June 13th would be the earliest the board could issue those bonds. Now we're still trying to figure out with trying to get that last $16-17 million is would we issue the bonds at that time, or do we wait and have to fundraise a little bit more?
So on the city side that you mentioned of the bond, paying off the bonds,
yep.
You're going to have to raise property tax?
Yeah, what we'd look at would be increase our mill levy for the park district. And right now, looking at what a mill value is worth, the value of a mill is worth is about, we'd increase our mills about 4.18, and that'd be a 20-year term. And then as that term increases, the value of mill typically goes up in Fargo, so then that mill levy would come down incrementally over time. So over 20 years, it might be 3.5 mills, but that's, that's kind of splitting hairs between actual the value of money and the value of mills. So what we would do is increase the park district mill 4.18 mills over 20 years. And that's at the max right now. So we're still looking to fundraise. The more we can fundraise, the less that cost to the park district or the public would be.
So by fundraising, really what you're saying is the Sanfords of the world.
Yeah.
Partners, in other words, on the corporate side.
Yep. We've got Sanford's one of our major partners. We've also got the CVB that just sees the value of the sports complex as an economic generator for Fargo. And not only is it bringing teams in, but it's also saving families in the Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo area that time that they have to travel to, say, a Sioux Falls or Minneapolis. So that might save them 1 or 2 trips a year. I mean,
there's no business that I talk to that doesn't need employees. And there's no business or study I've ever seen that doesn't say employees, when they look at a city, look at quality of life. That's got to play in on this.
Yeah, that's one of our big sales pitch is, especially, you look at doctors out at Sanford. I mean, Aldevron possibly. Just anybody that's recruiting professionals or just workforce. They're looking for what Fargo has to offer. And I think Fargo has a lot to offer, whether that's inside, outside. This just adds another thing that we can offer, the recruiters of the world.
Dave, good job. Looking forward to it. As somebody who's got 3 grandkids in South Fargo, good.
All right. Well,
if you can keep them active, and they're wore out by the time I got to watch them, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's all great. I appreciate you having me, Joel.
Sarah Addy Coleman's going to join us when we come back. We'll talk North Dakota tourism right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy 1 set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210. Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Join us May 22nd as we take on the Northern Arizona Wranglers for Senior Scholarship Night. Every student deserves an opportunity. Help us help our students. For more information, visit bismarckbucks.com/scholarship or call 701-595-0771.
I don't know how many of you go to a dermatologist but got red hair. I've had red hair all my life. It's getting a little bit white, but obviously have fair skin. So I go to a dermatologist here in Fargo, and you know, you can end up with stitches on your hand. You could end up with frozen spots on your face, all of those type of things. I would encourage you to go. The little bit of pain you go through and the blistering and all that is pretty small compared to what you can get. Since we're talking about the outdoors, just wanted to mention that. And you'll see it over the next couple days. It's going to get worse before it gets better. If I had $10 for every friend I have that watches here on Beck News that tells me I have a face for radio, I'd be retired. And not to mention the fact they're right. So it's a real issue. Hopefully in a little bit we'll be joined by Addy Coleman. Sarah's a long time. I think she's probably the longest serving head of a department in the cabinet of the governor. And what she does is she's with, like I said, she's with the North Dakota Department of Commerce, Tourism, and Marketing Director because, you know, she's grown in the job and can do a lot more. It's tourism time. Well, it's tourism time every time. I get that. I mean, up in Williston, it was just paddlefish season, and you can go on and on and on. In Fargo here, where I'm at, it's going to be Red Hawk season. And when the Red Hawks are back from their southern swing, people start going out to Newman Outdoor. And so it's that type of, you know, we're not in Devil's Lake at an ice fishing derby, right? We're getting outside, we're stretching our legs a little bit. We're doing the type of things that all of us love to do. Well, in North Dakota, you know, there's a lot of summer travel that happens. And I had a chance to visit with Sarah before in my world in media. And one of the things that she pointed out was that, you know, when you're going to recruit people to come to North Dakota, the best way you can recruit is locally. You know, the South Dakota, the Eastern Montana, the places like that where people can get because they're fairly close. I'll give you an example. This summer, I'm talking about going to the Black Hills with 3 of my grandkids, as soon as I can talk my wife into it, and throwing them into my RV and showing them the Mount Rushmore. Love to see the look on their face when they see it. I have a daughter and a son-in-law that took their kids down to the Omaha Zoo this past weekend. So if they're doing that, then why not Medora? Why not up to, you know, all the things that we have to offer here on the Red River where I'm at? There's a number of different events. So I just, you know, now they're talking about a Buffalo City theme park. And so, of course, you when you think of the Buffalo City, what do you think of? Well, you think of Jamestown. That's what you should be thinking of. And of course, you know, Jamestown has, if not the nicest baseball park. I don't know which one's better. I mean, I love Jamestown as a baseball city. It has been for a long time. So That's another part of tourism, right? Look at how many guys are out there, guys and gals out there playing softball. I had 3 co-workers in radio last night out playing softball. I did that for years. I mean, I did that for years. I got picked up when I was still playing Legion ball because the men's team in Mander was short guys. And so they called and they said, if we're going to keep the team going, we need to recruit young. And imagine being that 17, 18-year-old playing on the men's softball team that your dad managed for years, and you couldn't go where they went after the game. You know, they just looked at you and said, thanks for playing, and you got in your rig and went home. But that's part of it as well. If you're playing in any of these spots, call it fellowship, call it whatever you want. But guys are getting together and they're spending money. And there's something good about that. I don't know what you have planned. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do hope you have something planned. I do. I remember taking my 2 girls to Medora. I remember going to the musical with them, to the Pitchfork Fondue. You know, I've ridden horse many times in my life, don't necessarily like it. If I had my option, I'd be riding my Harley. But when the girls were there, we went for a horse ride. And the look on their face as they rode horse was something that was definitely worth it. You know, I don't know what you have planned. I don't. I do hope that you have something planned. You know, I'm saying that again to really pound it in. You know, get out there. And hopefully you'll spend that money here in North Dakota. Hopefully you'll get to the Peace Gardens. I could start naming off places that I hope you go to. Head up to Lewis and Clark. You know, head up to Fort Union. You can go a lot of different ways. The Missouri River has some of the best fishing that you can possibly have. Then you head up to Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the top 5 fisheries in the United States. And so there's a lot of people that head to Devil's Lake every year to go fishing. And you know what? When you look at walleyes, think of Devil's Lake. Now you look at Lake Ashtabula, Lake Skakawea. You look at those places. Last time I went to Williston, I hung out with a couple of buddies, Dallas and The Rock, and we went out walleye hunting, and we did just fine. Dallas whispered in my ear, "This is the lure to use." He was right. And so we had a little fish fry afterwards, but we were outside doing what we could do to enjoy it. And I have to tell you, as an eastern North Dakotan, when you get in western North Dakota, you appreciate things that I think many people in western North Dakota kind of take for granted. And that, you know, perfect example was Lake Skakawea. It's a different look. It's a different feel. In my home area, one of the things that we have in one of the cities that we point to all the time is Abercrombie. Little Abercrombie, right on the Red River. Little Abercrombie, something that you look at, and it has a rodeo every year. It's got Fort Abercrombie. There's a real history lesson that can be taught there. Also in my home neck of the woods, you got the Wahpeton Zoo. You know, again, take the grandkids to the Wahpeton Zoo. You got the zoo in Bismarck, which is one of the top zoos, period, out there. In Fargo here, you have a number of things, not the least of which is getting on a canoe and taking off on the river. There's a zoo in Fargo as well. So those are just some of the things that I should mention. There are a lot of you right now that are screaming at your TV saying, why haven't you mentioned what's in my backyard? Why haven't you mentioned what is available here? You know, the Icelandic Festival, you know, the State Fair, the Red River Valley Fair, the things that go along with that. When you go to the Midway and you're my age, it just feels like you're young all over again. It really does. And so I hope you take advantage of that as well. It looks like we're not going to be able to tie in with Sarah Addy Coleman. And we knew that was kind of a hope to make it happen type of a thing. But we'll get her another day, because anything we can do right here as we go down the road to get you down the road to enjoy the great outdoors and enjoy North Dakota for what it is, we're going to do. we're going to do on this very show. You know, when you look at what's going to happen in Medora, one of the most exciting projects is that Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. You know, we had a chance to visit. If you didn't catch it yesterday, we had a chance to visit with Ed O'Keefe about that project. And that project is going to put North Dakota on the map for many people across the country. I know a number of individuals that look to that as a tour to go. Also, you watch during Sturgis. You're going to see bikes come into North Dakota. You're going to see people camp here. You're going to see people go all across the state to just say, you know what, I've been there, on their way down to the Black Hills. Tomorrow, I'm the last day I'm going to get a chance to do this for a little bit. Going to be taking Thursday off and heading up to Tulna to do my radio job. And what you're going to find there is you got Stump Lake. And there's people already calling me and saying, we got to get you out on the lake and show you how to fish. Well, it's never the wrong time to get a lesson on how to fish. When we come back, I've got some closing comments for you as we keep going down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Well, just a little bit more time that we get to go down the road together. I want to throw at you some things to think about and to ponder before tomorrow's show. Tomorrow, State Representative Corey Mock is going to join us, and what we're going to talk about is the story that the Associated Press broke about how North Dakota is spending nearly $3 million on empty offices. That's right, on empty offices. IT is a big one. Well, if there's anyone, in my opinion, that should be able to work remotely and know how to work remotely, it's IT. ITD is a department that, information technology department. I think I've got it right. I've been calling it ITD for years. But the head of ITD works out of Minnesota most of the time. And that's COVID related, I'm sure, to some part. And I think his wife had a baby. I'm not sure. But the very boss is working out of Minnesota on a job that normally would be taking place in Bismarck, North Dakota. So ask yourself this. If he's doing that, then why would it surprise him or anyone that James McPherson from the Associated Press basically blew up the fact that we don't need this office space? Now, some of you are going to say, well, post-COVID, that's office space that we may need. The office equipment, that type of thing. Know this, that a lot of the state's office equipment, the desks, whatnot, is built by Rough Rider Industries, which is at the prison. Now, I can't say that about the spots in Fargo. I don't know that. What I do know is this. Never again will the state of North Dakota need as much office space as it does now. There's my prediction for you. Never again will our institutions of higher education need to be building a new dormitory unless the other one's got the roof falling in, because there's going to be more students going online. There's going to be more workers working remotely. I can vouch for this. My wife had an office structure in town, or at least an office space in town, I should put it. And she, during COVID, started working remotely. And I think it's true. She got more hours in, she got more time in, she got more work done. And there's going to be more of that. Now, it's going to be different per employee. I get that. But for the most part, IT should have known that they could have worked remotely. And we shouldn't be losing $3 million. It's been good riding with you, folks. See you back tomorrow.